What's up, guys? It's Shani with Healing Elements, doing my second ever, which is wonderful, podcast. And today it's going to be something extremely unique, but one of my goals in putting some content onto a podcast format is to go through, many journals that I have and certain topics that, of course, I myself have done some self-exploring, intuitive guidance work regarding, and also, just some things that I think are interesting, intriguing, and fascinating. And, I do not necessarily have the answers or the reasons as to why all of these concepts are, the case, but I do want to talk about the number 144,000 today. So the number 144,000 has been throughout several millennia, historical societies, religious groups, spiritual, new age groups as well. It has been used also in ancient Egypt. And I'm going to go ahead and just list the different, groups that I have observed and what they believe regarding this number. My point in posting this is the point in which I feel is the main basis behind everything that is synchronic or is a synchronicity. For instance, there is a commonality within a lot of cultures or religions or spiritual groups also about a deluge, about a flood, right? That's, synonymous all over the world, different times, points in history. Same goes with this number, the number 144,000. So I went through my journal and picked a couple of, I thought very diverse groups, including ones now and in past historical times that, definitely put a sacred emphasis and a fascination on this particular number of 144,000. So we'll go from the top. The first is actually a current New Age movement group. It's called Raelism, Raelism. And they believe that there will be precisely 144,000 chosen people that will continue humanity in lieu of an upcoming, huge global catastrophe or disaster. Okay, so then we go back, long time ago, and we have the Mayan long count calendar, which honors that number. It's the Baktun, the Mayan long count calendar, and so in which there are exactly 144,000 days in that calendar. So it just fascinates me. Those right there are completely vast, different times and places that are focusing and are fascinated and believe there is, a sacred geometry or a divine purpose or, sacred emphasis of symbolic proportions that are, religious or spiritual to them. And they made it clear, different groups throughout history. I just find it intriguing. So the next point we're going to jump to that is intriguing to me as well from ancient Egypt is there were exactly 144,000 blocks which were used to construct the Pyramid of Giza, right? So the Pyramid of Giza is built of no more, no less, 144,000 blocks. Of course, this was the original. So, as you know, there's different stages of its construction and everything sometimes deteriorates. However, that is definitely something that was very interesting to me. We also have different kind of, I don't know, maybe we would call them, some people would call cults, but I'm not saying that here. Some people would just call them, private sectors of a branch of, spiritual groups or religion. So there is a small spiritual group in Russia. It's called Skaptsy, Skaptsy, and they believe that the Messiah is going to come down once there are exactly 144,000 of these Skaptsy believers, right? So I really just want to, again, bring up the point how different these groups of people's concept of this number is, and what the meaning is to each one of these groups that I've read so far, and I'll continue to, is totally different and polar opposite. However, I think that the point is, and I'm just so intrigued, is the commonality throughout all these different, times and places and diverse cultural groups that will go back to this particular number, 144,000. Also, I'll get into it, I believe, when I do the sacred geometry video I will put out on my YouTube channel regarding the number 12, but the number 12 is divisible, goes, a long way with this number as well. And 12 is a sacred number. All right, so we then have the Unification Church of Sun, Moing, Moon, and they believe that no more, no less, but 144,000 is representative of the total number of saints whom Christ will come and find to restore these missions that is going to lay basically the foundation of a victory over Satan's world in this battle. Okay. So the Islamic belief about 144,000 is they feel 144,000 is two things. One, it is the number of Sahaba of Muhammad and also the total number of prophets in Islam. Again, these are all so far completely different explanations, beliefs, fascinating concentration points in their particular sector of that number. So I'm going to go into a little bit, three things I want to bring up that the spiritual community or people who are esoteric or practice healing modalities and channel spirit and really get into the aura, the chakra points and all that, definitely put an emphasis on the number 144,000 as well. It is believed that originating from our 7 chakras, which are our energy centers, our points of which energy is emitted and received, there are said to be 144,000 total rays of this white light, which are emitted outwardly, right? It's also thought in certain communities or spiritual groups that are like the hippy-dippy kind, it's thought to be 144,000 total vibrations that we were made of this divine creation that we are all a totality of, which is basically the source of life and then life itself as well. Thought that was beautiful. So, also, the crown chakra, one of your chakra points, one of the 7 chakra points of your energy centers. This is located right on the top of your head. It is said to have 144,000 petals. When the, energy flow and light patterns, are projected from the top of your head, it's said to be like a lotus flower or rose petal type of vision. But it is said that exactly 144,000 of these petals exist, right? Amazing. We're going to go back to ancient Egypt now, and this is fascinating because this, pyramid was built at a completely different time than the one mentioned previously. So, when researchers were doing a whole bunch of mathematics and using this Egyptian pyramid inch technique to figure out measurements and, trying to, of course, understand the construction of this massive, beautiful structure. Of course, in ancient times, how could they do that? What tools did they use? All this stuff. They concluded that the total volume of the tomb inside the Great Pyramid, it's called the Tomb of the King. So they found out the total volume is, exactly 144,000 cubic inches. Like exactly 144,000 cubic inches. If you ever want to get into some fascinating stuff, I will speak on it hopefully on one of these podcasts, but check into the pyramid code. And just all of these synchronicities are fascinating that goes into, the numbers and the, again, synchronic use of the same set of numbers in these amazing ways in the construction of the pyramids. Fascinating to me. Okay, guys, so we also have some that you may have heard of already. I know that I have had a couple of these been told to me throughout my life. So 144,000, that number specifically is mentioned 3 times in Judeo-Christian theology. Book of Revelation says that 144,000 sons of Israel will be present. Also, they say 144,000 of these will be on Mount Zion, of these kind of angels or people who had been redeemed from the earth as well. So it's a very, very consistent number. There are a few in the Bible, the Judeo-Christian theology, theories. So it's very intriguing to me that, again, throughout different, places and time, it's just amazing how this, is a very, very common denominator. So then we have Jehovah's Witness religious group. They believe that 144,000, no more, no less, of their faithful disciples are going to one day be resurrected to heaven as immortal beings. They only believe 144,000 are going to go to heaven. Just, I guess, a spoiler, I do not have that belief. Namaste. but I do not believe that. That's a very small amount of people, and I can think of children right now more than 144,000, and in my belief, everybody is going to go to the afterlife, same place, karmically, and heaven. However, I believe that children are such innocence. I do not believe that only 144,000 shall be chosen. But again, on Healing Elements, I just speak my personal truth, and I honor yours. That is just this in this portion, that 144,000 number is just to show the diverse, different groups and how crazy different their beliefs on this number is. So then we have the Mormon sect, the Church of the Latter-day Saints. They believe that 144,000, that number specifically relates to their high priests. So just very, very fascinating stuff. And there is so much more that goes into sacred geometry and divine numbers and numerology that is absolutely intriguing. And even if, you are not somebody who would subscribe to or believe in the, meaning that some people put out there regarding numerology or numbers, it is still undeniably fascinating, right? Even if you're a skeptic, how the same set of numbers seem to be used time and time again throughout very diverse groups of people. And it is just amazing. There is, of course, the most prevalent to me, if I was going to be asked, is the number 3. So not only is that like the trine in different, it's used so many different places, so many different, points in time and history. That number is amazing. And, definitely my point in doing these videos and putting the podcast is to get some of that information just out there to, perhaps spark something within you that just makes you reflect and think. And I would love if on YouTube, if this gets posted successfully, hopefully it'll get posted to YouTube. But if you have any comments regarding, who knows, if you have any thoughts, your belief as to if that number means anything to you at all, or which one of those perhaps may have rang true, or, perhaps just your feeling on why human beings seem to, even if they never knew that a concept or number was used before, how is this all drawn and we focus on these same similar concepts again, like a deluge or the number 144,000. I have my beliefs, and, it has a lot to do with another podcast that I'm going to do tomorrow in length. It is regarding this global awareness now that we are able to tap into an abundant, infinite source of information through Akashic records, just this collective energy field or blanket that surrounds and actually moves through all of us. If we want to, I believe we can tap into that. So I feel that, certain spiritual groups or people in general, or, cultures throughout history, when they are journeying or having this awakening and going into their, own personal spiritual, group or activity, I feel that they are drawn to certain, themes, numbers, concepts. And I feel like that is a part of God, of my higher power, of, connecting in that way. And of course, this will all fully be understood, when we cross over in the afterlife, is my opinion. But I do feel like the concept of this number being used, 144,000, is that type of thing, just the same as those kind of spontaneous synchronic inventions that happen. Like, you ever heard of that? Like halfway across, around the world, where they didn't even have transportation, I don't know, 1,000 years ago, two totally different cultures and different people on the same exact day happened to invent something that was groundbreaking and changed history forever. And it's like they had no contact tangibly or in communication at all with each other. However, on the same day, even if it was the same year, it'd be really, really intriguing. And I feel like that is the same concept, tapping into this, collective consciousness, this infinite source of information and divine kind of secrets. But they're not secrets anymore, guys. I don't believe that this, this time right now in history is any, it's not the old school anymore. We're not to say we cannot explore a vast majority of possibilities. So you guys, I'm going to end it now. Blessings, love, and light. Very intriguing. And I hope that you enjoyed this kind of information regarding the use predominantly, consistently, of 144,000. Bye-bye, guys.